And here is this morning's cup of coffee for today's Coffee Talk vlog. Howdy and welcome to the Coffee Talk vlog. Sorry, no vlog for yesterday. I didn't have anything to had time to put together or talk about because we were so busy yesterday. So I decided to start today's coffee vlog with what I put in my coffee. So first off, I always put in some sugar. This is sugar. It's not creamer, it's sugar. It's an entire thing full of sugar. We just put sugar in an empty creamer container. Makes it easier. But first, the coffee I drink is called Duos, and it's flavored with, it's a coconut mocha flavor. I like this one. It's got a good taste. Everything. So, I spoon in, see if I put the mug in view here so you can see. There we go. So, put in about 4 to 5 things of sugar. Sometimes more depending on if I have a lot I want to do. Maybe one of these days I will show you my full morning routine, which pretty much is this, but sometimes there's other things that go along that need to be done. And then last, I put in creamer. Now, my wife and my stepson, they will put in hot chocolate in theirs because it goes good with the their coffee. My stepson likes his Duos, which is nutty caramel. My wife likes her peppermint mocha, and sometimes around Christmas time she'll find peppermint mocha creamer. Many clumps of creamer that wouldn't decide to mix. And there you have it. That's how I like my coffee. Hi, and again, you saw how I like my coffee this morning, and of course, in my wonderful Doctor Who mug. Today's vlog is going to be about yesterday's stuff. Assuming I didn't have time yesterday to make a vlog, because I was busy since the time I got up to the time I got home. We've been busy. First thing I did was I was up at 5:30 to get ready to go donate some plasma, as I do every week. I do it twice a week. I wish I could show you the plasma donation process, but like I said again, I can't have cameras, I can't take pictures, or I can't record videos, so I'll kind of have to describe it to you anyway. So, while I was eating my bowl of canned chicken with Sim seasoning, because I try to eat something before I go to donate, I go on my phone, go on the Plasma Center app, and they got what's called a questionnaire. And you have to fill this out before you even can donate at all. It's basic questions about, how do you feel? Do you have this? Are you expecting that? Stuff to make sure you're healthy enough to donate. Then once you do that, and you fill out the last half of the information you have to fill out, which is basically your birth date and the last 5 digits of your social, you're given a QR code. I get to the plasma center, and I sit for a while because I get there early because they do everything by appointments. So my appointment was at 7:30. So when 7:30 calls, you take the QR code and they scan it on a thing, and it lets them know that you're scanned in. Then you wait till they call your name, and then you do what's called a vitals check or a vital screening. This they check your pulse, they check your heart rate, they check your protein, and the most important one they check, besides your temperature, they check your hematocrit. Now, most people think hematocrit is your iron, which it is, but I found out, I'd have to say 3 months ago, right before I was put on a 3-month hold, hematocrit is the amount of red blood cells throughout your entire body. Because the way the plasma donation goes is once you pass the vitals check, you're told what bed to go into because you're laying down, and they put a needle into your vein. And what happened, and if you think that sounds painful, it is slightly painful. It's like a tiny prick, except yesterday the person that did it was actually very painless. So, once they're in there, the machine has two phases. It has the pump phase and the return phase. The pump phase is where they take the blood. It goes from your arm, whatever arm you have to choose. I always choose this arm because it's convenient because it's right next to the machine. And you pump your fist like this. That pump takes the blood, sends it through the machine, through the tubing, through the machine, and the machine then separates your plasma from your red blood cells, and then your red blood cells are returned to you in the return phase. To which, when you are done, you have most of your red blood cells returned to you by then, but there is some that do not return to you because it gets stuck, because your blood does go through a filter, which filters out fat and anything else that doesn't need to be, basically the fat. So if you eat a really fatty meal before you go, you're probably going to have not such a really good donation experience. Then we left there, and me and my wife went to Walmart. We had to pick up some cat food and some dog food. I would normally say puppy food, but we have graduated. I'm about to sound how my wife would say it. We have graduated our puppy, who's 11 months now, to dog food. Now, before you say anything, by 11 months, you can actually give your puppy dog food, regular dog food, because the puppy food will actually put weight on your dog because it's got more nutrients in it than the dog actually needs. And you need to start putting your dog on dog food, regular dog food by then. Then we had a little bit of rest. I then decided I did some work on something else I'm working on. And then we left at about, I'd say, close to 3:30. My wife and my stepson had their chiropractor appointments, and all they did is get their back adjusted, and it take no time at all. And then we went home, and by the time we got home, it was about 5:30, because their appointment was at 4. And it takes a good 20 minutes to get there, and We had to stop on the way because my wife had to pick up some of her meds. Excuse me, I have a stuffy nose. I hope I'm not coming down with a cold. I got home at about, let's say, 5:30. I made dinner. We made hamburgers. They came in a little small, but we made hamburgers. And I made two kinds of stuffing. I made normal stuffing for my wife and I, and then I made we had we go to the food pantry about once a week, and maybe I'll have one of these vlogs. I'll do a food pantry haul. Anyway, and then we accidentally got hot honey stuffing. So I made that for my stepson. He likes hot, spicy stuff. I mean, this is a kid who, if you give him a chance, he would down an entire bag of Takis in one sitting. Maybe I'll tell you a story about me and Takis and one of the old food challenges me and my stepson used to do in Racine. Then after that, by the time everything was said and done, it was just too late to really kind of do anything. It was about almost 8, 9 o'clock, and I said, screw. I said, I will record tomorrow. And, well, here we are. It is now tomorrow. I spent most of my evening working on stuff, and then by the time I was tired, it was like 3 in the morning. So that was my day yesterday. Now, I can't donate plasma until next week, Monday, because you can only donate twice a week. Let's see. What else should we talk about? So I talked about the plasma donation process, what we all did yesterday. You know what? Let's go down some nostalgia. Let's talk about how I met my wife and my stepson. So at that time, I was single, of course, single, and I was living in a small town just outside of Madison, Wisconsin, called Cambridge. I had just got done with one relationship that ended after a year. And I was waiting. I had basically said I'd given up. I am done. I'm not going to look anymore. I'm not even going to worry about finding someone to date. I'm done. My wife, at the time, had messaged me on Facebook Messenger asking if I remembered her. Now, why would anyone just randomly message someone on Facebook Messenger asking if they remember them? Because I knew my wife 30-some years prior to the day we started dating. We grew up in the same neighborhood. And then, so I said, yeah, I knew a person by the name of Jill. And she said, that's me. Her actual real name is Jillian. And she said, I'm like, oh, cool. I asked how she was. And she decided that, well, I should mention that she had messaged me, but I was still the previous relationship I was in was about to end. So I said I was still in a relationship at that time. And she's like, okay, I'll just go back to my studying my son's father. I'm like, okay. A few days after that, a few weeks or two after that, She messaged me again, and I said, yeah. She said she lived in Racine, Wisconsin, which was at the time a 2-hour drive. I was on vacation. I actually had a job. I worked at 7-Up at the time. And that was probably my last year there, my 12th year there. And I had decided to go down to Racine. So I hopped in the car I had at the time, which was an actually brand new Lancer, and I drove down to see her. Now, there was no intention of starting to date her. It was just kind of to catch up and then maybe move on. She had packed a bag, so we was going back to my place, I guess. And the rest is history. A lot of stuff happened in between that time and now, and I've told you about some of the stuff already. Maybe I should take you guys one of these times around the neighborhood. I'm just gonna drive. And then maybe I'll grab my camera. Definitely gonna take you around the neighborhood around Christmas time. Because I think around Christmas time, I'm gonna take you guys down a road in Milwaukee called Candy Cane Lane. The story of Candy Cane Lane is this. Years ago, there was a doctor that lived there who every year would go all out to decorate his house for Christmas. I mean, to the point where it looks like it lit up the neighborhood. And soon, everyone else around him in this entire neighborhood, for like 5 blocks of this neighborhood, started going all out decorating their houses for Christmas. And if you go at a certain time, it gets real busy. And they usually ask they call it Candy Cane Lane because that's what they call it at Christmas. And then they usually have someone coming around collecting if you want to donate to whatever charity they're going to donate to. But people will walk around, take pictures, or you could just drive around in your car and look. Let's see. Here comes one of my cats. There she is. My baby girl, my Spicy. Let's see. I planned on actually showing you how I do certain things, but never get around to it. The weather's starting to get real nice. It was like pretty much almost 60 degrees yesterday. It's getting to be almost time to put away the winter clothes and pull out the shorts and the short sleeve shirts. Put away the sweatshirts, except for those light ones on slightly colder days. Jesus, cat, you snore really loud. I used to snore. My wife would tell me that my snoring would put her to sleep. Until I had taken a sleep study test. And that years ago, you used to have to stay at a hospital to do a sleep study. But nowadays, when you talk to a sleep specialist for the first time, You could choose to do the hospital, but most insurances won't cover that. So they do what they give you. You take it what is called at-home sleep study. You get a device about this big. You wrap it around yourself. They wrap it around you. It's strapped around you like a fatty pack. They put a thing on you. There's a button you press when you're about ready to sleep, and you sleep. And that records everything you do in your sleep. You turn that back in. The sleep specialist looks at all the info and determines whether or not you need a CPAP. I need a CPAP. So now I don't snore, unless I don't have my CPAP on. I married my wife in August of 2024. We had moved here the year prior, in July of 2023, which was about a month after my wife, we'll say my mother-in-law had passed. We stayed there for a month so we could pack up what we wanted to pack and bring to Brookfield, bring where we are now. So, yeah. And the rest is history. My dad passed away weeks after we got married in 2024. This past November, my mom moved to Florida. Like I said, I talked about all this in, I think, the first vlog. But I just figured repeating. So, I guess that ends it for today's vlog. Again, enjoy your morning cup of coffee, folks. And remember, always do good. And peace out. Stay frosty. Bye now.